Let's get to Chuck Todd, NBC News political director and moderator of Meet the Press. Game of Thrones continues.
No, it does. Look, there were two. Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law, the new chief of staff, John Kelly, the national security advisor, H.R. McMaster, Rex Tillerson. A lot of people around this president have been trying to convince him to get rid of Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon did himself in this week in two ways. None of them are connected to Charlottesville. Number one was undercutting the president on national security in the interview, one of those interviews that Kristen referenced, where he said, North Korea's basically got us jammed on this one. We're never going to use the military option. So he undercut the entire national security team, adding to his problems there. The second sin he committed in Trump world was taking more credit for Trump's victory than Donald Trump. We know that the president has not been pleased with all of this new book that's out that makes Steve Bannon sort of the guy who pulled the strings here to make all of this happen, and that the movement is more Bannon than Trump. So I think the people in the White House who've been trying to get rid of Bannon really from day one effectively were able to use that as a way to drive this wedge. But I think if the White House staff hopes that Lansing the Boyle, that is Steve Bannon, from the staff, will start to repair the process on this issue of Charlottesville, the alt-right, this race issue, the monuments thing, that's not going to change anything, because on ideology here, Bannon and Trump were soulmates. They found each other. It's not as if Bannon changed Trump or anything like that. So I think this is about making the West Wing work better, and I think it might. But I don't know if they think this is going to help begin the healing process with the issue on race. That's only going to get better when the president himself deals with it. Firing a staffer doesn't begin that healing process.
It's interesting, though, because when you go all the way back to January and all those magazine covers and the stories that were portraying him, that these are different covers of a different issue, but all of those portraying Bannon as a kind of Svengali, who really was this mastermind type. There was a fissure there, to be sure. But this notion of how close he is to the alt-right and as much attention and space that the president has given the alt-right in the last week or so, it's kind of amazing that there would be this split at this time, because Trump is basically saying, I still need these folks. I still respect those folks.
Well, and Harry, this is where, one of those occasions, Steve Bannon may become a larger figure in American political life now, not a smaller figure. That he now goes back and is essentially the new Roger Ailes, if you will. The Roger Ailes who arguably thought, certainly the late Roger Ailes, founder of Fox News, thought he sort of had his own media world that he controlled, that gave him influence in the conservative movement. There's a chance here that this makes Bannon more of a player in the American political world, and perhaps from the outside is just as much of an agitator of sorts to some of the conventional Republicans here in Washington, maybe more so. And so that's going to be fascinating to watch over the next months.
Let me bring in...
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.